Some viewers may find this content disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. Harley Owens from Bigfoot Reports and Data. Yes, this is always good to see you here in the Fox Den for another episode of Midnight Lycanthropy here on Star Fox Radio. We are going to be heading down to your area of the woods. Well, now that I am fully revamped and ready to rumble, there is nothing holding back Harley and myself from taking a walk into the darkness. My creatures of the night, yeah, welcome back once again to another episode of Midnight Lycanthropy here on Star Fox Radio. We again have Harley Owens stopping in. He is technically a weekly host, but you know how life rolls. Sometimes things happen, and he's a very busy individual doing a ton of his own research. Harley, what's good, man? How you doing tonight?
Buddy, sitting here watching the sunset, but now it's starting to rain. So, yeah, that's how my evenings are going. But overall, I'm pretty good. Another day, another week, and just looking forward to another night of midnight lycanthropy.
Heck yeah, man. I appreciate it. And actually, I'm up here in the Northeast. We get sun showers, but I was watching Yellow Wolf. He's down in Alabama, and he was just out chilling, and it looked like a perfectly sunny day with a crap ton of rain. Is that normal behavior down there?
Oh yeah. It never fails because the mountains and stuff, the hot and the cold temperatures. Because higher elevations are cooler, and then lower elevations are going to be warmer. So it's never failing.
That's actually kind of cool, but that wouldn't be too cool. Because up here we're like, all right, yeah, sunny outside. I should be pretty good chilling out here with my phone for a bit, but down there you'd be like, yo, it's sunny outside, and just getting torrential downpours
Well,
rolling up on you.
it was just sunny not even 5 minutes ago, and now it's starting to rain. So it changes drastically.
That's so freaking funny, man. Well, before we get diving into I wanted to, you being down in the whole Kentucky, Tennessee area, I just really, obviously the LBL is an area definitively in between that, but I call the section in my book the LBL area, but it's all broken down into different parts of Kentucky and Tennessee and such. And I was gonna see if maybe spew off a couple of these strange encounters that have come in and see what your thoughts are about them. But before we get rolling, if you want to update the audience as to what you've been kind of doing with your rebrand, I don't know if you've had a chance to really speak about that, and then we'll get chugging here, man.
Yeah, I haven't really talked about it yet, but as most people know, I have the group Bigfoot Reports and Data on Facebook. And there was a lot of people coming in there posting all kinds of different content about different cryptids and stuff. And my wife was getting tired of seeing it. And she's like, you need to just do something to change your name up a little bit or start another group or something. And I'm like, that's too much. And then I was like, you know what? I might as well do it. So I created another Facebook group called Cryptic Veil for all other cryptic phenomenon, reptilians, whatever the case may be. But other than that, my YouTube channel's still doing pretty good. I'm almost at 1,300 subscribers, so I can't thank everybody enough for that. And I am currently in the works of trying to start my own research team. It's going to be nationwide, so I'm really excited to see how that's going to go. But other than that, I'm extremely blessed, and that's really the only thing I've got to add on to that.
Right there. Good stuff, man. Keep grinding away. And like I always tell everyone that I'm tight with, keep your circle small, but just keep rolling with the people that are good back to you. And sounds excellent, my friend. Did you want to hear maybe some older, middle aged, or newer encounters from these areas?
For me, when it comes to listening to these encounters and reports, listen to the old ones and even listen to the newer ones, and you can compare similarities, time of day, what weather was it like, all this other stuff. And you can kind of connect the dots and see when and when these creatures are more active, and it's all about connecting the dots and figuring out what the variables are that makes everything connect.
Good answer. All right. Let me pop in with one of the older ones here, and then we will try to pursue some of the newer ones. Obviously, as I was in the section in my book that I needed to be in, I scrolled up, and now I'm in a completely different section from where I need to be, but I'll be there in 1 second. I'm in the Midwest, and I need to go down to the LBL. Yes, everyone, I do have a book I'm working on. It's still in PDF form, and it really needs to be fixed up in regards of going back and forth between first person and second person. I just really tried to get everything in an area and make sure that it was documented so that it wasn't just in my brain. But at the same time, I haven't really had a chance to go back through and make sure everything is properly formatted. So that is something I am trying to work on because I would like to get some of this published at some point, but it will always be a growing entity for sure. But all right, so we're gonna start with winter 1820, Ohio River in Kentucky. You have two young, fit African American lumberjacks heading home when all of a sudden a pack of large wolves attack the men, trying to fend the animals off with their axes. The men fail, and one of the lumberjacks is brutally torn apart by these enormous wolves. In sheer panic, the other man climbs a tree and stays up there until another group of lumberjacks stumbled onto the scene. After telling his story of how he and his friend were no match for the monster creatures, the man began searching the area for his missing friend, only to find a few of the man's bones, his axe he used for tree work, large patches of blood splatter, and an oversized wolf print.
Whoo, hoo, hoo. That is brutal. That is that is something, what do you? I mean, you can only do so much against one, much less a freaking pack of these things. You're talking about, if they're, I mean, just for instance, say if they're not bipedal, they're probably 3.5, 4 foot easily at the shoulders, and if they stand up bipedal, we're talking 7, 8 foot, and you know, I couldn't imagine going through that, and he would have one heck of a story to pass down if he passed it down through his family, but much less sharing it to get it out there. But I couldn't imagine being torn apart by one of these things, and that, the large wolf print, and that, okay, there could be a couple different explanations for that. It could be a dogman, yes, absolutely. Or, like me and you've talked about, some kind of extinct species, for instance, a dire wolf or something like that.
100%, and very astute observations right there. And I actually have a couple of questions for you about that. One, I wanted to know is if wolves are active down in your area at that time frame. I mean, are there wolves down
There,
there
there,
now?
there are no like timber wolves or nothing like that. What we have here are red wolves, and they are much smaller.
Small, yeah.
Yes, and they look like coyotes, and they're actually endangered. I think they're endangered species because people that have farms and stuff, they just them because they look so much like coyotes.
So they wouldn't really be the culprit, in my opinion.
No,
Then,
no,
correct?
they're not. They're not going to leave a massive wolf print, much less tear apart somebody viciously like that.
Okay. And also, have you heard about dogmen rolling with wolf packs as well? I have numerous accounts where one would just stand up, where the rest seem to stay quadrupedal. I'm not saying there couldn't have been another one in with them, but I've heard about dogmen rolling with packs of actual real wolves and coyotes as well.
Well, it's not out of the realm of possibility that happens. For instance, look at Bigfoot. There, you hear them like mixing in with the coyotes. So who's to say that the dogmen don't do that with you know the wolves? I mean, it absolutely makes sense.
Right? Because if, say, you're a dog man and you go into a wolf pack, you're right, you're going to become the dominant male or female, and now you have a squad with you, which you can pretty much blend in with almost. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, sure. Once
absolutely.
you stand up and well, and then people see that aspect, you're not blending in so much anymore. But I just am saying if it'd be quite easy to get around and be more discreet if you're staying quadrupedal, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. Or if they use a wolf pack, it could kick back and take it easy, and the wolves hunt the prey, and then
Mm-hmm.
they get, and then he comes in and gets first pick, and that's what I was thinking about the Bigfoot and the Dogman, when I think there's a symbiotic relationship going on there. I think the Bigfoot set up in their hunting blinds, and however many dogmen that's around them, they flush the deer to them or elk or whatever the case may be, and Bigfoot gets first picks, and then the dogman gets the scraps.
Sounds right. I mean, animals do share areas and feed off each other, etc. And it's just really interesting. And like I said, we've had a ton of cases like that, and it just really does make sense because I try to, as you know, be as scientific, nerd, geeker based as possible. Okay, I love reading. That's why I have a science team and such. But there does get to a point where you have to look at it like that as well because obviously we're not able to consistently figure out the track patterns of these, yet that would make sense as well. And actually I was speaking to, I can't remember who it was, I think it was Brian Barber and also Ernie Davio, but think again, you're going to know way more about this, but Sasquatch, right? Forest
Yeah.
people, they're going to stay in areas and harvest. Okay. Same thing, how bears, omnivores will stay in an area and use that area for as long as they can until the seasons change, etc. And that would make sense with maybe the cluster sightings of the Sasquatch in certain areas at points in time during the year, and then you see them come in at another point in time later on, maybe months later or during the seasons. But with the dog man, same thing with wolves and mountain lions, things that are predators always are on the run to try to find something to consume.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely, and this area I'm in, from what I've noticed so far, the Sasquatch have seemed to be in here a majority of the year. So I started my research. My first research outing was December 7th, and until now, and they're still in there. I'm finding fresh signs all the time, and and they tend to exactly do what you said, harvest, and use what they can while they're in there.
Exactly. But a predator, that's just eating 100% meat is always going to have to be on the grind or, the hunt trying to find,
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely,
more
yes.
food. But if you're an omnivore, you can just post up and, yeah, use the area
Well,
for as
I
long
mean,
as you need to.
who's to say that these dogmen aren't omnivorous? They very well could be.
Again, yes, that would bring a whole nother aspect to that, which would be interesting. I don't trying to pick to my brain. I don't know if I've ever actually had a report of them consuming anything besides road carcasses and people's pets and stuff like that. But that would be interesting to dive
Well,
into
I
that.
mean,
If
even if they, just ate bark or anything like that, for instance, not berries, I mean, they could eat anything really.
yes, true, that's very true, and that would still be considered something omnivorous. Yes. All right, I got another one here for you. We're gonna fast forward a little bit in time. Summer 1970, land between the lakes. A group of kids were out exploring deep within the forest when from up ahead they hear terrible screams of desperation coming from another sector of kids that was part of the group exploring. The issue was they were out of the eyesight, the other kids that were hearing them scream. Running as fast as they could to the area of the cries they had heard, to their surprise, the other group is nowhere to be found.
Ooh, yeah, that's you know, could that have been Dogman? Yes, absolutely. But there's all kinds of other instances, of other stuff doing that as well. I mean, some of that stuff's Bigfoot related, yes, but it's just all all dependent on different things. I mean, they just didn't disappear. Something had to.
Exactly. I'm with you as well. I definitely do believe that Sasquatch is, involved with this as well. And I also definitely think, like you said, it could been a bunch of different things, but it is just another strange encounter from that area. And the 70s is even before the supposed infamous questionable massacre, so
Yes, absolutely. And and quite frankly, one of the most remarkable encounters out of the LBL is definitely Martin Groves' encounter. And me and Martin are great friends, and his encounter, it gives me goosebumps every time I hear it. Honestly.
yeah, that's definitely a pretty intriguing nightmarish one right there too. And then the other one I would say that really holds up quite well is Glenn, who spoke to Jody, and we have his confession before he unfortunately passed because he had stage 4 cancer, and he worked for Kentucky Fishing Game and stalked the LBL. And he was the one that was out fishing and saw that young couple get destroyed by the hyena.
Yeah, and I definitely think that there are different variants of these dog men. Absolutely, 100%. I mean, there's the wolf ones, there's coyote ones, there's hyena ones. And the ones that's even more baboon like, and there's just and that and that's how you can connect the dots. Absolutely, you can see where all these accounts are happening from, and you can kind of narrow it down to where these variants are.
Exactly. And that's what people don't really understand. Like my little brother, big fan of what I do and stuff, but he definitely is super intrigued. But at the same time, you can't grasp his head around how we have a science team, but also how we fielded some very strange potential paranormal ones. And he's just like, I don't care. Whoever saw that, no, it doesn't matter. Like they said they saw a glowing thing. He's like, you guys have a science team? He's like, yes. Like, of course, these animals could still be around and all this. He's like, yeah, I'm totally on board for that. He's like, but spectral werewolves on the road? He's like, come on, man.
Well, I mean, sooner or later, people are going to have to come around and accept the fact that this phenomenon is really going on. Me being an eyewitness and having these things on film, I know these things are out here, absolutely, and that is my main goal out of everything that I'm doing is to raise awareness. First it was just Bigfoot, but now that I've been out here researching and all this other stuff, I've learned that there's a lot that's going on, and it gets hidden.
Right. There is definitely a ton going on. Like you said, it totally makes a ton of sense. And there is just so much going on in regards of that. And like you had earlier stated, it doesn't necessarily have to be Sasquatch or Dogman, but I mean, something happened to these individuals to just sit here and quote unquote vanish and in an area too that is intriguing with just this history of darkness, with it being taken away from the indigenous cultures and then flooded, and all these indigenous graves. And so, I mean, it's just got a whole messed up history before even the encounters that we were just talking about right there. So,
Yes, absolutely, 100%. And I definitely believe that there is a natural quality to these creatures and a supernatural quality to these creatures. I believe they can fully physically be here 100% whenever they want to be, and then 100% not. Whether they say portals or whatever, the case may be. I tend to lean more towards portals because of spikes in the electromagnetic field. These things, they can. I believe these things can see on another spectrum than what we can. They're a lot more intelligent, and they know that we know, the ones of us that know these things are out there. They know us.
yeah, that's definitely the truth. And people don't realize how easy it really is for something to blend in if it doesn't move. Meaning, if it's just sitting there and has no sort of recollection to show itself, things blend in, whether it's a person or, a chipmunk or a crow. So, yeah,
Well, that's how my second encounter happened. I took that photograph and it was right there, and I never seen it. And it literally looks like a giant pit bull.
that's so creepy right there. So creepy. Well, I got a newer one here for you too. All right, November 2020, southeastern Kentucky. Local 21-year-old man Doug is out searching his father's 18,000-acre hunting area on their property in an attempt to figure out what ran all the deer out of this usually plentiful area. Suddenly, Doug hears a few shots ring out in the night, followed by screaming. Quickly hopping back on his four-wheeler, he comes across their neighbor and friend, who is also able to hunt the area. He was completely distraught, saying, "Don't go over there, don't go over there," repeating himself to Doug. Then he continues to say, "It's bigger than a bear, but it isn't a freaking bear." And Doug's trying to get his friend to calm down, but his friend runs over to the four-wheeler and just bolts off. So Doug hops back onto his four-wheeler and follows him. The other man dashes towards a nearby truck. Yet, as this all is unfolding, they begin to hear something heavy and bipedal coming towards them. Turning around 40 to 50 yards away, they see an 8 to 9 foot tall, hunched over, bipedal, patchy, scruffy, jacked up, canine looking creature sniffing the air. Its arms were down past its knees, almost touching the ground. After a few minutes, it turned and bolted off into the night.
Yeah, that's and those are instances right there where you're lucky. That whether were mine. It wanted me out of there. I don't know if I was close to a juvenile or what, but it wanted me out of there, and I was out of there. Now, some of these instances, like that one, I tend to think, that one's just ate his fool. He's just, in walking around having a stroll, and he didn't see no need to try and attack anybody. So, and where did you say that was at again? What part of Kentucky?
Southeastern.
A county?
He did not tell me.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that's close to me. I'm just right here in East Tennessee. I grew up in a county right on the Tennessee Kentucky state line, virtually close to Southeast Kentucky. And, these, I mean, when I tell people these things are literally everywhere, I mean, I mean it. They are everywhere. Absolutely 100%, and that's like the town here that I live in, Newport, in 2021. There was two quote unquote dog attacks 3 months apart. And if you read the autopsies and stuff, it doesn't add up, and it's a huge cover up.
Ugh. Yeah, I think we have those on file. Amber Miller and Tony
And Tony
Aaron's.
Aaron. Yep.
Yeah, we Jody was able to get the autopsies on those, and we actually have some other autopsies on file that are just straight up messed up stuff for sure.
Well, I mean, yeah, and it's and there's somebody here from town, and they went and talked to somebody from the homeless camp. Well, the homeless camp's not there anymore. They have signs posted up there where it was at that no trespassing, and there was like only one or two in there, and they said you don't want to be out here after dark because it comes out of the woods and gets you.
Some girl, that's so creepy. Well, before I read
Uh-huh.
one more for you and let you get going, I wanted to ask your thoughts. I have a hypothesis that I would like to turn into a theory that the people, all right, that are seeing them, hearing them growl at them like that, it's them letting you know that they're there, but I feel like they are evaluating the situation, meaning, okay, you have two hunters with weapons here. Is it worth me trying to take them on, or even one hunter with a weapon, or a person with three or four dogs with them? Is it worth me trying to deal with all this and then wounding myself, etc.? I mean, there are known animals like hyenas that have survived and like wounds that everyone else would have been deceased from. Like scientists are just baffled and out in the wild too. So say they heal kind of like a hyena, whatever. But I think if the opportunity was there, right? These people don't go back to the area. But say if you and I were camping and we saw one of these at night and it ran us out, but then we went back there to that same spot again, and then maybe it runs us out again, but then we go back again, we're not going to exist anymore. I feel like all these people that are having the repetitive encounters are in their houses and stuff, and sadly, a lot of those people have just vanished. But also, like I just stated, at an area that someone's having an encounter, usually they don't go back. But if someone continuously went back, I feel like they would disappear too.
Well, and that where I had my experience at, I only went back in there once, and I had the encounter on January 29th of this year. I went back February 2nd, and I had two more people with me, but I've not been back there since. Now, uh, and then where I had my second encounter, so to speak, I was only there once, and that definitely has a lot to do with it. These things know what weapons are, absolutely 100%. And they, I tend to lean towards the way I feel about the Sasquatch with them. They know your intentions, and the Dogman, I feel like they tend to lean more off of fear. They thrive off of it. When I looked that one in the eyes in January, that was something that was going to kill me initially. It was my initial thought. But now I'm just looking back at it. I'm like, this thing was just trying to chase me off its turf. Because of a juvenile or whatever the case may have been.
Exactly, which would make a ton of logical sense right there, which is still creepy in general. But I feel like if you kept going back to that same area, unfortunately, I'd probably be covering an encounter about how you no longer exist. And
Well, if I go missing, I know how to scare off a bear or and stuff like that, because I'm an avid outdoorsman, and I know how to deal with things like that, But these Bigfoot and Dogman, that's a whole different topic, We don't know how they're going to react. They have good and bad days.
isn't that so true? On a humorous note, real quick, right? So when I was younger, when I'd go out and just party and be a fool on Halloween night, we were all out, and I ended up almost getting jumped by some people that had a problem with who I was dating. It was one of their ex girlfriends, whatever, stupid stuff. But so I was down at the end of this alley and I had these blood pills, right? And the blood pills, I was just like, all right, whatever. So I threw them all in my mouth and I chewed them all up and I turned around and I was just like, you automatically, me and the dudes were like, yo, what the hell, man? This dude's like crazy, dude. And they like ran off. So on a funny note, right? You know how you're saying strapped up. Well, I got my rainbow hair, my rainbow teeth, man. If some dog man tries to come at me, I'm just gonna chew off some like blood pills and be like, yo, you want some? And it's but I don't.
Yeah, man, you do you on that one. I'm not going to try and bite one of these things. I like my odds better with a bullet, but
No.
it's all wild stuff, man. And not too far from me, actually, there was a guy had an encounter with a dog man in Mountain City, Tennessee, and the night I think it was the night there was he went one night and then the next night he had some guys go back out with him. The first night he was out there by himself and there was one. and it kept charging him by his little fire that he had, and it would go and sit on this rock and watch him. Well, he didn't sleep all night, so he left, and he came back the next night with two more people, and they all had guns, and they had the fire. They had a fire going back. They went back to the exact same spot, and he was sitting there, and they were just cutting up and stuff. Well, one of them comes up and starts charging them at the fire. Then this other one comes up and starts charging them at the fire. Well, they all start unloading on them. It's three people unloading on two of these dogmen, and they hit one of them, and I think they got a lung shot on one of them because they said there was bubbles in the blood, which is a significant sign of a lung shot. But they tracked the blood trails, and they led to a cliff face that was 100-foot drop off, and they couldn't get down there to look.
That's just so crazy right there. And no, the reason also too, when I was trying to be humorous, is because a lot of people, there's certain things like, oh, this one you don't want to fight back against, or certain animals you want to fight back against, because obviously if you run, you look like prey, right? So just imagine, normally everyone's running, right? And then all of a sudden I just stand there, and I'm just like, what? And it would just be
and that I think that's how you might end up on the mission 411.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
There's times when you need to like have a set on you, but other times, I can't blame somebody if they took off and ran the other way.
Exactly, 1,000%.
I was trying to say that, to where it can make sense without getting a little explicit there, but I think you picked up what I was putting down.
No, for sure. Well, this last one right here, before we let you get to trucking, is March 2021, Cherokee National Forest, Tennessee. A local woman is out hiking with her dogs in the woods when strange howls begin erupting all around her, causing her dog to quiver in fear. Looking around, the woman sees a dark gray, 6 to 8 foot tall, hunched over, werewolf-looking creature with bright red eyes and an enormous mane looking back at her behind some nearby brush. Grabbing her dog, she immediately dashes towards her nearby car and makes a quick exit from the park to never return.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Cherokee National Forest is only like an hour from me. I know exactly where it's at, and that's an area full of Bigfoot, too. So it doesn't surprise me that there's Dogman in that area. Absolutely.
Jeez, on crow. That's intense right there for sure. Well, appreciate you stopping in like always, man. Know you're a super busy guy, but it's always great to collab, man, and try to figure out and bring a little bit of clarity as to what's occurring with the madness around the country for sure, man. So make sure to keep me updated on any new ventures you're going to roll out into. And like I said, if you need your intro redone, all you got to do is just send me the song that you want used, which you already have it on file. So send it over to me, and then just whatever videos and images you want up in there, man. That stuff's pretty easy. Just toss it up into iMovie, man, and I can cook you up something for sure.
All right, brother. Sounds good. I'm about to get inside before I drop.
All right, my friend. You take care of yourself, and I'll see you soon, bro.
All right, brother.
Thank you for everyone who once again stopped by tonight for another episode of Midnight Lycanthropy here on Star Fox Radio. If you do enjoy my content, please like, subscribe, and share it. Feed the algorithm, and I will catch you on the next one.